Bitcoin's alive, what you gon' do? Mempool fees are high. Ordinal. Where does it stop? Nobody knows. It's a revolution. Ay, Bitcoin is the one, no substitution. Ay, with Shizzy and Yagobi, it's Ordinal Revolution.
Welcome back to Ordinal Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin Ordinal ecosystem. What's up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. Like always, today we have Merlin Starter. Merlin Starter is a Launchpad and so much more. They're on Merlin Chain, obviously, and they are doing some really cool stuff over there. We heard of them about a month ago. I want to say a month and a half ago, and they're doing some really cool things where you just link your wallet up and you get free all these points. And if you're in the seal, you got a lot of points. So that was really cool. I was claiming my points. And then they launched a Spellbook and stuff like that. And NFT, we're going to get into that. But yeah, it's going to be a really fun show. And let me bring in my partner here, kind of get this thing started. Mr. Yagobi, what's up, buddy?
What's going on?
What's going on, dude? So we have this is our third recording today. We had it's been an amazing day so far. But what can you tell me about Merlin Starter?
Yeah, whenever there's a new chain or ecosystem, you need to get these infrastructure, projects and dApps kind of launched, right? So Merlin Starter is a launchpad, right, for that. And so they've launched I believe Mineral, which was a big project that everybody knew that was coming to Merlin, and a couple others. But it's really it's a launchpad that is going to be, obviously they've taken that kind of spot, that position on Merlin Chain to be the launchpad. So we'll kind of have to see how the rest of the journey goes. So far it seems like their launches have been pretty smooth. But I think the biggest thing that people look for initially in the beginning of an ecosystem is the launchpad. So that's why I'm excited about it, to learn more about it and to see how, well the launches in the future go.
Yeah, definitely. The MP launch for Merlin Swap was absolutely great. I had no issues with it. It was one of the cleanest launches that I've seen. Obviously, it was oversubscribed, so you didn't really get much, but that was from the Merlin Swap team. That was something that they decided to do. But I mean, all in all, the launchpad was great, and yeah, I'm curious see what they do next.
Yeah, that's right. That was my mistake. It was actually Merlin Swap MP, not Mineral, that they launched.
Yeah.
Yep. But
Exactly.
yeah, that was a good one, and excited to get Archie from Merlin Starter up.
Yep. So let's bring him in. Archie, welcome to Ordinal Revolution, my friend.
Yep.
Hey, good morning, guys. I'm glad to be here.
GM,
Thanks for having me on. GM.
Yeah, man. So let's kind of jump right into it. On this show, we would love to talk about projects. We can't wait to get into Merlin Starter. But if you can kind of just tell us your background as far back as possible and kind of lead us up to your crypto journey.
Yeah, sure. So I used to be in a previous life, business improvement specialist for a global mining company here in Western Australia. And so basically focusing on rebuilding the underlying data structure to drive operational performance across the network. So in about 3 or 4 different locations, working with teams up to 100 people involved, and basically driving operational efficiencies, but really focusing on a underlying data and infrastructure network layer. So when I discovered Bitcoin and blockchain in 2016, it was very easy to make that transition over into the industry. So started performing, consultancy advisory roles whilst digging into my personal investment side as well. So I am proud to say Bitcoin was the first token that I purchased, and have been accumulating ever since. That's just the nature of the industry, nature of the market. So I had a lot of experience in the DeFi, obviously eras, the multiple bull and bear markets. Learned a lot of lessons in the first bear market there of 2018 that I was involved in, but used it to educate myself, really focus on layer 1 type projects, and really have a look at those, back in those days, those white paper eras of how tokens obviously came through, and just dig a lot deeper into the networks. So obviously Ethereum, as it was progressing back then, Then obviously the DeFi seasons, and then progressing into the NFT seasons as they came out. And so, as a Bitcoin holder from my early days, it's been really obviously awesome to get heavily involved in that ecosystem. Obviously, the BRC20 movements, the Ordinal movements. Personally, I'm excited about the runes, how those assets are going to develop within the ecosystem, and then obviously how we, as a business, as a project, have come together and are looking to make a serious impact within the ecosystem as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like everyone has that first cycle, right? I call it your tuition. We all got to pay it. Like Harvard is a very expensive tuition, and so is crypto. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. You definitely learn those lessons, and hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, it's not too expensive for you.
Yeah, you got to get lucky, but yeah, sometimes it isn't, sometimes it ain't. But yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, what they say, sometimes it's time in the market. So,
yes. I mean, both of them are very true. You know, timing the market and time in the market. But both are needed, I feel like. But you brought up, you know, being in the kind of infrastructure build out of Ethereum DeFi and all that stuff. Is that something that you're seeing similarly with this Bitcoin layer 2s and side chains and all that stuff? You know, because there's a big concentrated effort to have fungible tokens with Bitcoin, whether that's on Bitcoin or on side chains. But are you seeing similarities between the two infrastructure build outs?
Yeah, 100%. So obviously, the market cycles are actually quite similar. The way that a ecosystem is nurtured and grown from obviously internally, which I think, as we know, historically, the Bitcoin ecosystem is great for that. There's a lot of developer participation, a lot of anonymity within the ecosystem as well. A lot of people having an impact, from day dot, and pseudo anonymous, and we don't know who they are, right? So that's the beauty of the Bitcoin ecosystem, and obviously the culture within. So it's obviously, to go back to your question, very much the DeFi aspects are starting to shine through. As the ecosystem scales and gets built out, then I'd like to think in months, years to come, we're going to start seeing obviously higher TPS projects enter the ecosystem, which then will obviously bring gamified projects, socialfied projects, and obviously see the ecosystem develop in that way. So very heavily DeFi focused at the moment, restaking of assets, launching of products, and that's obviously the early mover, first mover advantage, right? So to get involved early with Launchpads, to basically do your due diligence and look at what projects are coming through. I wouldn't say dive straight in, but you know the expression. So it's anything from meme coins through to DeFi projects at the moment. It's going to be exciting times over the next couple of months, and especially how obviously NFTs, ordinals, runes, assets, having them supported on Merlin Chain as well, and across other Bitcoin layer 2s. It's going to be exciting how we integrate those and basically open up more utility options for the community at large.
Yeah, man. So obviously, February of 2023 happens, right? Let's go back a little bit. Ordinals just come out, right? Casey drops his protocol in December. They get really big in like February, right? What was your first exposure to Ordinals? How'd you find out about it, and why are you building over here?
Yeah, okay. No, it's a great question. So obviously, as an ecosystem, it was just really exciting to just be involved, right? So the various mints that came out, I wouldn't like to say that I jumped on absolutely everything, because you do miss out on some opportunities. But essentially, it was a no, for us personally, it was a no-brainer to support those earlier projects. To be honest with you, try and get in on the mints. So it's a lot more cost effective and everything. And at the end of the day, I'm not exactly a huge NFT guy. I've always been a token play. I prefer the underlying infrastructures, the getting in on early on those type of on those type of tokens and investments. But understanding obviously how the NFTs have taken hold in various different ecosystems. You know, we've seen them very successfully, obviously across the EVM landscape over the years, and really tying those underlying assets and utilities back to some NFTs as well. So for me, that's why I always had an interest, right? Because essentially what's being born and what's growing in the Bitcoin ecosystem, yes, obviously we've got new protocols like BRC20 tokens, ordinal movements, now runes coming out, but trends and market plays are very much, we've seen it before. So that's where it's going to be exciting to replicate that in the Bitcoin ecosystem, but then really we've got the opportunity to do it differently, right? And learn from those mistakes that may have happened in the past as well. So yeah, it's I mean, to see the liquidity movements, obviously cross-chain aggregation, you know, cross-chain, essentially what Merlin Chain has actually achieved in the last couple of months as well, is incredible. And really it's just opening up those doorways for more and more users to come over from various networks, which is what we need to grow, right? So
100%. And like to your point earlier, basically you guys have an opportunity as a launchpad that not any launchpad has ever had an opportunity for. You get to play with Bitcoin layer 1 assets, right? So you guys have an opportunity to launch stuff from runes and launch stuff from other protocols in the ecosystem, and it's such an opportunity that's never been there before. So as a launchpad, man, you guys are in a very good position, and I think it's very smart to be building what you guys are building. So
yeah, so no, I appreciate that. I mean, the team moved incredibly quickly. We do have an incredibly strong development team in-house, and we saw the opportunity as obviously Merlin Chain was developing and progressing, and we really wanted to get that market positioning. So obviously there's going to be other launch pads and other projects that potentially come, and that's great because that's what we need as an ecosystem. But yeah, for us internally, with our long-term objectives, we wanted to really get the launchpad in place, get that foothold in Merlin Chain, but then on top of Merlin Chain, but then obviously scale that out across other Bitcoin layer 2s and actually go beyond that. And then obviously there's other products which are being developed in parallel. So, you know, as part of our overall ecosystem scaling objectives, I guess, if you want to call it that. So, yeah, is it going to be exciting? It's going to be exciting next couple of months, not just for obviously Merlin Starter and what we're looking to introduce to the ecosystem, but I think as an ecosystem at large, especially how we're seeing this bull market play out.
Yeah. I agree with you. The next couple of months is going to be very, very interesting. So let's get deeper into Merlin Starter. So let's start with the basics for the audience out there. What is Merlin Starter? What does it have to offer to the Merlin Chain ecosystem?
Yeah, cool. So Merlin Starter, you know, very simply is a launchpad, which currently resides on top of Merlin Chain, so Bitcoin Layer 2. We're providing a gateway for quality projects to come and obviously perform their IDOs and essentially allow the community to get in at the ground floor. But, you know, to purchase those tokens through various different contribution models and methods, which obviously is pertaining to the project's needs as well. Merlin Swap was obviously a great example last week with obviously its MP token coming live. Very successful launch. You know, I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong here, 21 million FTV, and obviously it went up from there. So I think it was close to 25x oversubscribed, and yeah, it just shows you the demand within the ecosystem. Which was incredible. So I think what happened, which was actually benefited us as a launchpad leading into that, was the additional asset support, which was executed by Merlin Chain just a few days before. So we're obviously going to mirror that asset support within the launchpad, continue to increase the doorways, if you want to call it that, or asset support, the integrations, to make it easier for community members to bridge over, to you know, enter via various pools. And yeah, essentially that's that's the route for the Launchpad itself. So we do have a very successful star drop program, which you guys were alluding to in the introduction, which we're seeing a lot of value from as well because of the size of our community. Obviously, other projects are actually coming to us now and using us as a bit of a community aggregator, so to airdrop their tokens. So Mineral, as you said, was a perfect example. Like 1% of their supply went out to the participants in the Star Drop program. So we're going to continue to encourage that participation, obviously through the Launchpad, as well as the Star Drop system overall. So obviously our community is going to continuously, hopefully, receive that value.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
for sure. Could you talk about a little bit what is the Star Drop and what the idea behind it was?
Yeah, cool. So Star Drop, obviously, for us, it started as a community, engagement campaign mechanism. So essentially, to initially start with the assets that can be staked, obviously through our protocol for our Launchpad, and then also fulfilling and obviously successful Twitter campaigns. So the Star Drop system, obviously, how it operates is it's very much aligned through the API system of Twitter, for example, or the staking of assets to earn points. So in the coming weeks, not too long ago, I've got to watch how much alpha I actually drop here. But those points will be converted into tokens, essentially. So obviously on the plus side of that is the benefit of airdrops back to the community through either, like I said, community aggregation like Mineral or the Launchpad participation like Merlin Swap.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's pretty common, right? If there's points, there's usually a token. I mean, I've been around for a while now. I hear points, and this is funny because I was talking to somebody over the weekend, the same thing. They was like, "Well, you get points." I'm like, "Oh, what's the points going to be?" So it's pretty common, and I mean, it's awesome because it's very incentivized, right? It really gets people like me to stop, like, kind of really try it, and by trying it, we're testing for bugs, we're doing things, we're making sure everything's good, but we just think that we're earning, right? So it's a genius thing that a lot of protocols do.
No, we're pretty happy with the success of it. Obviously, there are some bugs on the back end as far as Twitter goes, and not to point out, or should I say X? Sorry, I apologize. But obviously, it's just stuff that we've got to work through individuals with on an individual basis through our Telegram support and everything. So if you are experiencing issues, obviously, please be patient. The guys are in there, obviously snowed under with the tickets and everything. So it's I still say we're a small team, but we're a scaling team. So we're trying to sort everything out on the back end as quickly as we possibly can. So yeah.
And I think that's fair. Everything on even Merlin Chain is still fresh. It's still new. The chain itself launched 2 months ago, a little bit less than 2 months ago. And so I think that, the audience and community just need to take a step back for a second, understand that like some of these teams for the Merlin Chain are still building their teams out and scaling. But with that said, how do you guys find the balance between the community that is using the protocol versus, these almost kind of partners, right? Because looking at it from the outside in, Merlin Starter's, first step is kind of to work with the partners to get that launch going, but then you also have to deal with like the community users, right? So how do you guys find a balance with that, with the team that you have now, and does that go in part to your decision to possibly scale out your team members?
Yeah, 100%. So it's definitely needed because we are, expanding very quickly on a global audience. So obviously the language barriers in certain regions, so that customer success funnel needs to be put in place and it needs to be tight. So we are exploring internally for additional resources, and constantly assessing as well. Have we outgrown Telegram, for example? Is it time to open up a multi-language Discord facility? So options like that. So at the end of the day, we do want to listen to our community as well, and obviously get their feedback, because obviously no community if everyone's upset with errors or issues and they're not getting fixed. Well, it's only going to end one way, right? So we've got to certainly cater for the different communities around the world, i.e. languages, and really address those issues and pain points for the communities as quickly as possible. So we are listening. We have heard, obviously, there needs to be a voice, a regular cadence, for example, on Twitter, those type of things, on X, should I say. I think doing shows like this, having a bit more of a face behind the project is a great thing as well. And really, it's about that information sharing, right? And keeping the community up to speed, what's coming next. I mean, it's not lost on us the state and stage of the market, where what's happening at the moment. People are hungry, right? They're hungry for the next opportunities. They're hungry for information. They're putting their hard-earned money and cash and investments into things, and they really need to, well, obviously be kept up to speed is the right thing to do. So yeah, very much that customer success funnel needs to be put in place, and it's definitely an area of focus for us.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys are a small team, so that's all going to come in time. Could you kind of talk about the team and each person's duties?
Yeah, sure. So we're actually we've got close to 10 developers on board. So we actually went more development hungry, essentially, which enabled us to move extremely quick to market. So we put a lot of focus, obviously, on the development side of things. Got an obviously very experienced CTO on board as well. There's obviously business ops, specialists, more product management. Obviously, one area of focus that we didn't really go overboard on was the marketing side of things. So obviously in the coming weeks and months, we may end up changing that as well as we scale and the product develops. But really we focused on the building aspect first. So launching a quality product, having it smooth, obviously getting all the audits in place as well. Because obviously we're dealing with, tens of millions of dollars, right? And sometimes and hundreds of millions of dollars. So everything has to be as tight as possible. So it's everything got audited by Scalebit, for example. Same business which is auditing Merlin Chain. So there's myself who's concentrating community support, partner support, and essentially looking at those communities, the build out of things. So over the last couple of weeks, we've gone through an extremely important phase of the project and the business. So it's given us some quality time to actually reflect on our internal processes, but obviously where we're heading to in the next 4 to 8, 12 weeks and beyond. So we really are assessing our team. We've got some extremely great experience from a business development perspective. Star, obviously, who's the co-founder, has a lot of connections, obviously within the Web3 space, a very strong, market making experience through into product lead experience as well. So he works very closely with the development team, and obviously strongly focuses on that. I'm very much on the ecosystem growth, partnership build out. We've got Sia, who is a lot to do with the business operations. So we do have our specific niches, but there's a lot of crossover and overlap as well. So as you can expect, daily meetings, updates, and hitting those milestones and frequencies, basically.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like a really strong team. Honestly, I think we talk to a lot of different teams, and a lot of people are just like, oh, it's me and Scott or something. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay. But you guys seem to really have a really good sound, professional build out. Like a lot of these startups, because that's what you are in a sense. A lot of these startups don't really have a structure like you guys have.
No, it's appreciated. I mean, obviously there are different, as everyone's on their journey, right? And at different stages. We're pretty fortunate to, have previously run, some successful businesses or been in large corporate entities. We've got marketing backgrounds, finance backgrounds, technical, business operations. So bringing all of that together as a team has been really, really strong and effective. Because obviously, as you know, you can rely and depend on each other, right? But yet you've got that support as well. So it really is a really close, tight-knit team. We're proud of what we've developed so far, and we're even more proud about what's to come just around the corner, to be honest.
Awesome. They're definitely excited to see what's next.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so with Merlin Starter, you guys have had a couple successful launches, and then you guys came across your own NFT launch with the Spellbook, right? And that went through, and it seems like it minted out like lightning speed.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was like some people in the community that felt a little disgruntled because they didn't get a chance to mint, and so it seems like you guys are doing something in terms of a buyback. I'm not sure if you can talk about that or maybe go over that a little bit.
Let's go back a little bit first. Could you explain the process from start to beginning of the idea behind it, and then kind of lead up into that?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, the Spellbook, the NFTs, the ordinal movements have been extremely strong, right? So we understood as an ecosystem, there's obviously the demand for an NFT, but it's the importance of having the utility behind it. So we recognized as a business, as a project, obviously the thirst for an NFT within the Bitcoin ecosystem. Obviously, we've seen the success of the Ordinals movement, but it was really important for us to launch the product first, get the Launchpad obviously live, because we wanted there to be a distinct utility behind the NFT, right? So for people to obviously recognize, okay, we have the Launchpad, now we have the Spellbook, and there's obviously development milestones in place to how does that Spellbook actually link back into the Launchpad. So taking it back a step, obviously as we've grown out the community and the ecosystem, we actually whitelisted on several communities around the world globally, which was there was success in that, and that was just through partnerships and collaborations within the space as well. So as those whitelists obviously happened, we also did the the whitelist event, which happened on X as well. We put out a particular tweet there and just said, hey, look, send a certain amount of Bitcoin, obviously under $5, to this address for automatic whitelist. So it was always our intent to give that, to launch that NFT as cost effectively as possible, like, really, really, really cheap. It was multiple zeros and then a little bit of value of Bitcoin. So, but unfortunately there was only 5,500 NFTs available in the collection. And I believe there was over 55,000 participants in that whitelist event, which, so 10% of the NFTs available, compared to the whitelist numbers. So competition was always going to be incredibly strong. We didn't do this to make money from obviously the NFT drop, which is abundantly clear from the actual prices itself. But then obviously the money that was the Bitcoin that was generated, we're now utilizing that as a buyback scheme. Secondary on the market. So we certainly want to deliver via obviously an airdrop system. It's those who missed out that were whitelisted are now going to go into a randomized raffle system essentially. So the Spellbooks that we do obviously buy back can then potentially be airdropped back to those participants. So yeah, it's I think it's a nice value add back to the community. It just shows that we've got we're looking at the long term, the tail effect of what we're doing, listening to the community and really showing, we're not here to I hate to use the phrase, but money grab and all that kind of stuff. It's about growing the community and adding that value back to it, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I definitely noticed that right away. I mean, if you guys wanted to, put these at like $90, you could have did that. Then people would have been mad about the price. So you really couldn't win with that at all. And obviously with 50,000, people, and then only 5,000 thing. Even I knew that. You know what I mean? Like I wanted one, right? I
Yeah,
wanted this. I actually bought two in secondary because I'm just bullish, So
yeah,
for me, it was one of those things where I didn't even try to get it because I knew it was going to be over allocated. And for me, I was going to get it in secondary. But
Yeah.
yeah.
the community seemed
Shizzy,
okay.
just on that note, I remember being, I was on 14 calls that day, back to back. And I remember texting Star and just saying, bro, I hope you got one because I just haven't. And yeah, he still hasn't messaged me back. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I actually had to go in and get one off secondary myself, which was hilarious. But yeah, it is what it is, right?
That's the tricky part. That's the tricky part about doing like these NFT launches is that like you want to have enough allocated, because you want the collection to do well, and also like you want as many people in the community to get a chance, but there's never a perfect balance with that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
We actually helped another project before launch NFT collection, just being advisors, and we tried to allocate right at the mark, and it was under allocated. We over allocated a little bit, but like it was still under allocated, and we had to wait for that. It went pretty well, but we had to wait a little bit for it to mint out. So that's why I think like the community just, you know, I get the frustration, but you have to
yeah,
understand that there's a balance that these projects are trying to hit to make sure that the project is getting minted out, and there's enough allocation chance at least for the community. So
yeah.
we get
It's
that. We get that. It's a tough spot.
Yeah, I know. And to be honest with you, as a project, we're not always going to hit the mark, right? We're going to, we are going to get it wrong. Sometimes that's inevitable. We're human. But at the end of the day, we definitely want to listen to the community. I think in the last X space that we had, and I apologize if he's listening, but I actually forget his username. But there was a certain gentleman that came up on stage and voiced that there's always an option in the future. He actually missed out as well, I believe, from if I get it right. There's an option in the future to drop a secondary, collection. So where the spell books are concerned, think of them as a VIP tier, bonus, additional benefits within the Launchpad. But as this particular guy user actually said, there's always room in the future, right, for an additional collection, maybe a slightly less tier of benefits that can go back to the community. As he said, now you've got spell books, maybe you could produce a collection of wands, basically, which I thought was an absolute great suggestion. So, obviously looking at that, but it's got to fall in line with our product at that right time. And we obviously just keep developing, keep listening, and go from there.
Yeah, yeah. If you could go back and like just change a few things, what would you change?
Yeah, potentially maybe 10,000. Potentially just raise it, a little bit more in obviously the amounts, but it is what it is, right? Once those decisions are made, there's no turning back, and it's always in hindsight, and that's the thing, as those who have been in crypto a while, I kind of learned from the get-go, never trade in hindsight. So it was, you end up beating yourself up, and especially as a project as well. Hindsight's always a beautiful thing. It's easy to look back and, say, oh, I wish I could have done that. But in the moment, you think you're doing the right thing, right? So at the end of the day, 10,000 might have been good, but we're at 5.5, and that's where it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's a decision, and that's what happened. But I actually like it at 5,000. I like this multiply. I like that people from the sideline wanted to look in, like I need one, because that's how I felt when I was like I want one, because I don't know what the hell this thing does, but I just know that I don't want to miss out. Right, my FOMO kicked in, and I said, you know what, screw it, I'm paying the 0.0115. I'm happy with that because I feel like launchpads have the biggest winnings percentages, because if there's something that you're going to launch, it's going to 100x, right? I don't know if it's this month next month, next year, there will be something that comes off your Launchpad that I don't want to miss out on as well. And potentially, if the Spellbook gets me any closer to a potential allocation, then that's what I want, right? So
yeah, no, exactly. There's multiple utilities and value add that we can add back through to products like the Spellbook. So I won't dive into too much detail, but I kind of think of it as a VIP type tier, and then I'll let your imaginations run wild with the potential benefits there, from ranging from star drops to early access to the list is never ending when it comes to a Launchpad, to be honest. So
yeah, man.
And this is the learning process of filling out the community and stuff like that, and it gives you important data and feedback and stuff in the future to possibly tweak something here and there. And I think that you guys will do that. You seem like you guys have your head on your shoulders and a solid team there, so not too worried about that. In terms of Merlin Starter's next big step, what are you most looking forward to in the future?
That's a great question. It kind of puts me on the spot as well. So obviously we've got a series of projects which are already lining up. We're actually talking to 20 projects at the moment. There's 4 confirmed, and then that's not even including obviously Merlin Starter's TG in the future as well. So obviously we're going to start communicating out to the industry, out to the community at large, of our upcoming developments, internal developments, not just IDOs launching on the Launchpad, but really, to give the community out there a couple of nuggets. It's about obviously scaling out this ecosystem, right? So from a Launchpad perspective, from an ecosystem perspective, and really over the next 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to start really showcasing and putting a light on how we're actually going to do that as a project as well. So the Launchpad for us guys was really the starting point, and a really significant starting point. It was our placing of the flag in the ground and saying we're here in the Bitcoin ecosystem, and here to obviously try and make a positive impact and work with everyone that's obviously here. But that's just the starting point, as I said. So our mission is to scale. Our mission is to bring additional utility to really provide that function and wheelhouse for quality products to come through and obviously join the ecosystem. So it's I think it's going to be exciting, to be honest with you, and I'm looking forward to the rollout, and I'm also looking forward to the community's reaction at large, to be honest.
Definitely. Yeah, man. So I guess we'll start wrapping it up here. This is part of the show where we kind of give you the stage to kind of to talk to our community. You can use these couple minutes for anything that you would like.
Yeah, cool. Cheers, Shizzy. So essentially, we are a young team. We have been around the crypto industry for quite some time, but as a team, we are obviously quite young. So we are listening to you guys. We did heavily focus on development in the early months, obviously, and we're trying to remain agile and dynamic to obviously as we scale. Listening to your feedback because obviously community voice is important, but delivering a quality, secure product is equally important as well. So all I ask is, for the patience with the support teams, within the Telegram channels. We are looking to scale, we are listening, and we do heed your feedback. So exciting times ahead. As I said, we've got a lot of projects lined up coming through the ecosystem, through the Launchpad as well. And there's also, there's a reason why we went so heavily into our development resources from the get-go. So it's, there's going to be solutions and infrastructure basically building out or helping us to build out and the overall ecosystem at large. So there's it's going to be an exciting time over the next 2, 4, 6 weeks as we roll that out, and obviously bring you guys on this journey with us. So yeah, that's pretty much it, to be honest with you.
That was perfect, man. Absolutely perfect. And I gotta say too that the 10 developers, man, that got me bullish. I was bullish on you guys before, but now I'm like, okay, it's on now. 10 developers. I mean, there's some projects with barely 2. Like, it's But yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, Archie, man, it's been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, guys. Obviously a pleasure, and yeah, really appreciate your support. Love the show. I will say that if you're not following Ordinal Revolution, you're doing something wrong. I reckon it's where the alpha's at. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time.
Let's
Thank you,
go.
sir.
All right, Archie. Talk to you later.
All right, thanks, guys. See ya.
Absolutely amazing. Archie seems awesome, dude. I'm bullish on Merlin Starter. You know what I mean? I'm bullish on everything Merlin, and having a launchpad. And it's the first launchpad too. First is first. I mean, we're Bitcoiners, right? So I gotta be patient, guys. Like that's one thing I kind of get mad at because people just don't understand it. Merlin's been around for less than 40 days. People get mad at Ethereum projects that have been around for years. It's like, give these guys a break, give them breathing room. They're gonna make mistakes. I don't think they even made like a big mistake at all. I think it's very little. There's just some big vocal people in the space, and I wouldn't even really thought about it if it wasn't for like people in our community that are really vocal and just angry about it. But I just don't see why. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, community is gonna, sometimes speak up, and that's okay. That's what they're for, right? But I think the most important thing is how the project reacts to it. And what I heard today was a really good reaction. He said, we hear it, we're going to scale up in that section. And it kind of, as we were talking to Archie, a lot of it made sense to me. 10 developers up front, they wanted to move this project from a technical perspective. And you could see from a technical perspective, it has they've launched Merlin Swap, which is huge. Right.
Yeah.
And so, there's an appreciation there to try to move fast from a technical perspective, and now it's kind of like, okay, we're taking feedback, we know where we need to kind of tweak a couple things here, and they're doing that. So let's give them some time to address some of those things, and I'm excited too for them, because I think that they're going to do much more than just the Launchpad.
And I think their biggest problem too was vocally, and like he said it in the show, is like one of their biggest things is not being coming out and talking more. And they coming on our show just like today was absolutely smart, really smart of them, because now they puts a face behind it, it puts a voice behind Archie, and I think Archie's a strong leader, and I think they're going to do well. I mean, it's I honestly, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to go out and buy anything. I'm just saying, as somebody who's from the outside looking in, I'm bullish.
Yeah, there's a ton of infrastructure projects on Merlin, and there's Bitcoin sidechains and stuff, and Launchpads are the ones that propel them to get them out there. So just remember that part. And it happened the last DeFi infrastructure build out as well. Now we're talking about the Bitcoin DeFi infrastructure. So super bullish and excited about the future of Merlin Starter and Merlin everything. So great interview. Appreciate Archie and his time.
Definitely. All right, guys, that's the show here. Please hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you're not a member, become a member. Check out ordinalrevolution.com. We have, if you're going to Bitcoin Nashville, we have a 20% off coupon thing there. You can hit that right in ordinalrevolution.com. And if you are going to Nashville, we got the best merch right there. Hit our store. You can buy some of the best Ordinal merch. Be walking around Nashville. If you don't buy our merch, buy some other merch. Rock your Ordinals at Nashville. We will be there. And that's the show, guys. We'll see you.
Peace.
Bitcoin's alive, what you gonna do? Mempool fees are high. Ordinal. Where does it stop? Nobody knows. It's a revolution, ayy. Bitcoin is the one, no substitution, ayy. With Shizzy and Yagobi, it's Ordinal Revolution.